I must first express my grave concern and my deep sadness regarding the recent attacks on merchant ships in the region of the Strait of Hormuz, as a result of which, as we've heard, at least 7 seafarers have lost their lives and several others have been severely injured. My thoughts are with the families and the loved ones of those affected, as well as with the global maritime community, which mourns these tragic losses. At present, around 20,000 seafarers remain stranded inside the Persian Gulf, on board vessels facing high risk and considerable mental strain. My thoughts are also with these seafarers. Despite these challenges, they continue to perform their duties with professionalism and resilience. I continue to monitor the situation closely, and I reiterate my call for all shipping companies to exercise the utmost caution when operating in the affected region and, to the extent possible, to avoid passing through it. I will never tire of repeating myself when I say that any attack on innocent seafarers or civilian shipping is totally unacceptable. They must not become victims of broader geopolitical tensions.
Islamic Republic of Iran's unprovoked, unjustifiable, indiscriminate, and wholly unlawful attacks against my country and other GCC countries. Iran's attacks constitute a serious breach of our sovereignty, territorial integrity that includes our territorial waters, and a flagrant violation of fundamental rules and principles of international law, including the Charter of the United Nations. Iran's malign activity is harmful to international shipping and accordingly poses a serious threat to maritime safety and security and the marine environment. Iran's attacks have yielded death and severe injury to several seafarers and shipyard workers. Accordingly, Iran's attacks threaten the safety and security of seafarers and international shipping, and they constitute a violation of fundamental principles of maritime law, such as the freedom of navigation, and are a dangerous threat to international peace and security. The UAE further condemns in the strongest terms Iran's targeting of civilian infrastructure, including transport hubs, service facilities, and residential areas, in violation of international law. These heinous attacks have resulted in civilian fatalities, injuries, and material damage. They invoke terror to civilian populations in the region and consequently threaten their safety and security. The UAE affirms its inherent right to self-defense under international law as recognized in Article 51 of the Charter of the United Nations, and rejects Iran's baseless invocation of the same provision to justify its attacks against the UAE and other GCC countries. The UAE will take all necessary measures consistent with international law to protect its territory and populations within it. The UAE reaffirms the importance of safeguarding regional airspace, maritime routes, and the freedom of navigation in the Arabian Gulf, especially in the Strait of Hormuz.
Egypt resolutely and wholeheartedly condemns the Iranian attacks against the countries of the Gulf and against the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, as well as the sister Republic of Iraq, we see no justification to warrant these attacks on the territorial integrity of fraternal countries in the region. Chairperson, the escalation we're witnessing in the region compels us to resort to the path of diplomacy and the wisdom of dialogue to contain that escalation. Otherwise, the disastrous and dangerous consequences will continue to jeopardize peace and international stability.
This delegation reiterates the Kingdom's officially declared and firm position, its unequivocal condemnation of the wrongful Iranian attacks against the Kingdom, the Gulf Cooperation Council states, and a number of Arab, Islamic, and friendly countries. These attacks are utterly unacceptable and unjustifiable under any circumstances, and the Kingdom affirms its full right to take all necessary measures to safeguard its security, sovereignty, and the safety of citizens and residents, and to deter aggression. Attacks targeting civilian infrastructure, airports, and oil facilities demonstrate nothing but a persistent intention to threaten security and stability in blatant violation of international norms and international law. The acts of aggression that have targeted commercial vessels in the region, tragically resulting in the loss of innocent seafarers' lives and injuries, are particularly alarming. And these attacks constitute a serious violation of state sovereignty, blatant breach of UN Charter and international law, a direct threat to freedom of navigation and safety of maritime routes, and a dangerous attempt to disrupt the flow of global trade and energy, including through threats to the Strait of Hormuz.
China's position is consistent and clear. We call upon all parties to cease military operations so as to prevent further protraction and escalation of the situation. Only through a ceasefire, the cessation of hostilities, and the easing of regional tensions can be effective and viable solution to the security of the Strait of Hormuz be achieved. The facts once again demonstrate that the international system with the United Nations at its core, the international order based on international law, and the basic norms governing international relations founded on the purpose and principle of the Charter of the United Nations must be fully respected. The Strait of Hormuz and its adjacent waters constitute a vital corridor for international trade of goods and energy. Maintaining security and stability of this region is of great importance for ensuring the stability and smooth functioning of global supply chains and for promoting the development of international trade, which is in the common interest of the international community.
The United States also thanks the 8 countries that co-sponsored the convening of this important session. For decades, the Iranian regime has threatened international stability, to include, of course, efforts to jeopardize the safety of the international shipping routes upon which the world depends. Iran-backed actors have, over the years, fired on U.S. commercial ships in the Bab al-Mandab Strait, Gulf of Aden, and surrounding regions. Tehran's latest attempts to undermine the Strait of Hormuz through deliberate targeting of commercial vessels and civilian and economic infrastructure in the Gulf represent another unacceptable step in that pattern of behavior. These actions demonstrate a lack of respect for international law and are at odds with the principles of international peace and security and international trade cooperation. The international community should respond to this global threat with one unified voice. We must push back against the cynical actions of a regime that seeks to sow economic and geopolitical instability as a strategy for political self-preservation. We should not allow a country to attempt to degrade the well-being of civilians around the world through leveraging a critical international waterway.
Our concern relates to the procedural basis on which the present extraordinary session has been convened and is now being asked to proceed. First, Article 19C of the Convention on the International Maritime Organization provides that the Council shall meet upon 1 month's notice. This requirement is also reflected in the Council procedural framework. In the same vein, the Rule 15 of the Rules of the Procedure provides that the provisional agenda and the supporting documentation should normally be circulated at least 1 month prior to the session. The Council's established methods of work further reflects the same principle, namely that the members should be given sufficient time to examine documentation, consult capitals and administrations, and prepare informed positions. These requirements are not mere formalities. They constitute essential safeguards of the transparency, equal participation, and orderly conduct of the Council's work.